at 6 p.m. for the city of San Juan. May we rise for invocation. Dr. Nuno, can you lead us in invocation, please, sir?
Father, we praise your name. Lord, we give you glory and honor. We give you thanks, Father, for a government such as this that invites you into their business. I pray, Lord, that your mighty power be upon us, Lord, to do the best we can do for this city, which is your city. Lord, we bless your name and we praise you. Amen.
Flag for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. May be seated.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, staff, community members. The first item is on the presentations. We have presentation of departmental reports. Today we have Finance Department, Fire Department, Department of Utilities, Police Department, and Municipal Court. These department directors are here ready and available should you have any questions.
Any questions at this time for the directors? Ms. Carmen, how are we doing with the brush schedule and stuff like that?
We're up to date now, but today I kind of changed my department around a little. I think it's going to be more efficient. But
How did you change your department, ma'am?
The crew. I have a crew now that is going to be a 6-man crew that will be doing the right-of-ways and the alleys. So that I think it's going to be more efficient, there's more crew, and they'll get done quicker. As far as the brush is concerned, we're up to date on that. We're on the northwest side.
Okay.
Until the
My
sixth.
next question is, did you and Mr. Arjona look into the hiring for the person to run the sweeper?
Yes, sir, and let me tell you, I'm having a very hard time. We've had it on the website for almost a month, right? Am I correct, Ms. Cordero? Almost a month, and I've only had 2 applications.
2 applicants?
That's it.
Now, are they in-house or they're from out?
No, they're out. They're out local. I mean, they're not in-house.
You do need a CDL, right, to
Yes,
run
you
that
do.
machine?
Yes, you do.
Okay.
I'm going to give it another week, and then if I don't get anyone else, I can't wait anymore. So what I'm going to do is make a decision, interview the 2, and then make a decision on one of them.
Okay, all right. Go ahead, sir.
Is there a pay difference in?
The is pretty, my opinion, it's a little low. It's $12.67, and I think that's where the problem is. For a CDL, my CDL drivers are almost getting paid what a heavy equipment operator, someone that drives a forklift, a crane, or they're getting paid almost like, close to them. And that's why I think we have a real hard time getting CDL drivers.
Any other questions? If not, we'll go ahead and move on.
Real quick, I want to commend the police department for a good job well done on that school threat that we had early this week. I know public safety is a key with the fire and police on board at all times to make sure that our community and our students are safe. And I want to commend you, Chief Gonzalez, and your team. You got tremendous men and women that worked tirelessly that day. And, it was very pleasing to know that we're able to close the case as soon as possible, as you did. Thank you.
Just to follow up, Mayor, I'm glad you brought it up.
Go ahead.
Chief, I heard that the district is going to have police officers on all campuses. Have they reached out to you by any chance?
Yes, Commissioner, we are working with the school district. They are presenting some security options. Right now, we have officers working and doing what we call a roving patrol in different schools, elementary, middle schools. And they are working, presenting to their school board as to what are the options. I know that they had a meeting last night, so we're still getting with school, Dr. King and with the city manager and see what we can provide. So there's talks about different options and different approaches, but right now, the schools are being monitored by San Juan PD.
Just patrol, just going by.
Yes,
Nobody
and
looking
No, we're just doing spot checks on different areas.
That's
Yeah.
only, I'm sorry, besides some we currently have already in place. At the high school, we have an officer.
Right,
Yes, at the high school.
We've approved.
That is correct.
that came
Okay.
before.
Also, Chief, I saw one of the officers at Austin Middle School today. He was in there, right after school, inside when they were exiting the kids. Pretty much, thanks a lot for that.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Commissioner.
I'd like to make a comment in reference to that as well, Chief, just for your information. I had speaking to some of the board members in the district, and I suggested that the school board needs to look into maybe having their own police department. I honestly feel that the district's big enough, to have, I don't know what your take on that, but I know right now, in speaking to some of these gentlemen, the ball's going. So they might reach out to you, just, that way they can bring you in on some of these, if they do start these meetings and stuff like that. But I really do think that, we really need safety, right? Obviously for what happened, and, our hearts go out to the people in Florida. But yes, that's something I'd just like to share with you in reference to the balls starting to look into.
Yes,
getting-
Mayor, they have reached out to me already, the
They
school
have?
board members, and they are planning to have a security committee
Good.
developing, and that's one of the options that are
Good,
being
great.
discussed.
I'm glad. Thank you, Chief.
Yes, Mayor.
Any other comments or questions at this time? If not, we'll go ahead and move on.
Yes, the next item is under B, Parks and Recreation Advisory Board update on naming the baseball softball complex located at 1419 San Antonio Avenue, San Juan, Texas. Mr. Willingham?
Good evening, Mayor, Commission. Patrick Willingham, Director, Parks and Recreation. Before we get into the presentation on the agenda, I just want to briefly take a moment to thank our police department, our fire department, for assisting us this past Saturday in our first annual Friendly City 5K. We had approximately 150 runners and about an additional 35 kids that ran in the 1 mile race. And it was a great success. I know Commissioner Ramirez was able to attend, and we had a lot of good feedback from it. We had a different route that captured a good portion of the city. So we had a lot of good feedback, and just wanted to personally thank the fire department and the police department for helping us keep all the runners safe Saturday morning. It looks like everybody had a real good time. So moving on the presentation earlier, or several months back, I believe the Parks and Rec Advisory Board brought to you on the agenda, and it was approved to put together a way how we were going to advertise and communicate with the community to get feedback from them on naming the complex of baseball fields that we have currently known as Mayfield Park. As the community and knows, it's not just Mayfield anymore, it's Mayfield, Arcaute, and a small park yet to be named. As is in many communities, ballparks with multiple fields have a name for the complex, and that's the direction that we're headed.
But the names are going to stay, though.
The names of the fields will stay,
Okay.
because Mayfield Park was the name of that park.
Arcaute.
Park will stay as Arcaute, and then the third one, we've been communicating with the school district to see how we'll come up with a name for the third field, since that is a school district property as well. So this name will be the name of the complex of the whole thing itself. So here today, we have our Parks Board President, Mr. Mark Alanis, and he can share with you some of the ways that we'll be communicating with the citizens of San Juan to get feedback from them so that we can move forward with coming up with a name for the complex.
Mr. William, this is including with a new park, baseball park that the district's gonna build on, next to the small one? in Carmel
Yes,
Elementary?
it won't name that park, it'll just give the name to the complex
Okay.
itself. Yes.
Yeah, but it's still, it's gonna be another
Yes,
park.
anything that is added to it, if it needs a name
Okay,
for
a
the
name, you
specific,
will
we'll
put it. Okay.
address that at a later time.
Got it.
Yes, sir.
First of all, good afternoon, Mayor and Commissioners. God bless y'all. I hope everyone's doing well. As Mr. Willingham said, I just want to clarify it one more time because there's been a little bit of confusion on that, especially with the Mayfield name on there. And I just want to reiterate it one more time, that name will stick. As of right now, that we are not touching that name. The Mayfield Park name will stay on the individual park where it's at. La Rocata Park will stay there. That third park, I've been in communication with Board Member Cantu, and we've been going back and forth on that. I don't have anything, unfortunately, to report definitively on that at the moment, but we are definitely in talks on that. What we're looking at doing is naming the complex as a whole. If y'all will remember, I came before the commission on June 13th of last year and brought this before you all, an idea of how we would go about naming the complex. Softball and baseball is really, really huge in the city of San Juan, and we wanted to make things as transparent and as democratic as possible for the city and for our constituents. We wanted to be able to allow our citizens to have their hand in the naming of the complex itself. So, as I presented to you all before, what was unanimously voted on and agreed to was to come up with work with IT, which we did. We worked with Ms. Myra, who did a fantastic job, and come up with a web page that will be housed on our website to where citizens could go onto there and, for example, name the John Doe softball and baseball complex, within that complex, obviously, as I mentioned, we would still have Mayfield Park, we'd have La Rocata Park, and once we finally name that third park, that will be there. So this is what Ms. Myra came up with. If you all will see the projector screen right now. This was put together by Parks and Rec Advisory Board, and if we could scroll down a little bit, it pretty much talks a little bit about the facility there and how we have over 700 kids who currently participate in our programs right now. There's some fantastic aerial shots that were shot with our drone of the individual parks, and then of course of what is considered the complex as a whole. If we could scroll down a little bit more, please. Here are our form fields. So obviously the suggested complex name, for example, it would be, whatever you'd like to name it, John F. Kennedy, whatever. Although I will say that the board, and after speaking to the commission last year, and then several talks this year with some of the members that I have spoken with, of course, everybody is leaning towards naming it after someone from the city, someone who has made an impact, perhaps someone who's gone through the program. The bylaws do say that it has to be someone who is deceased. So, for example, again, if they wanted to name it the John Doe baseball and softball complex, that's fine. They have a spot to name, give their suggestion. The reason for why they want to name it, perhaps the person went through our program, perhaps the person, went through our program, went out to PSJA and, maybe became a kinesiology teacher or coach or whatever their reasoning is. And then, of course, we could scroll down a little bit more, please. They list their name, first name, last name, their email address. Of course, they have to click, they're not a robot, so we don't get spam. And then they hit the submit button. That will essentially throw an email back to our Parks and Rec Advisory Board. We have a general email that we all use. And then this way, we would keep a tally there of all the names that are submitted. Now, what the intention from the advisory board, turn around and choose the 3 most suggested names, and then come back and present them to you all and say, for example, name A received 300 votes, name B got 200, C got 100 votes, and then leave it before you all and say, well, this is what the community is looking at. And of course, at this point in time, we'd leave it up to you all to make the final decision. But we figured this would be the most democratic way to be able to get the input of our citizens into naming the actual complex, because as many of you all know, this, starting with Mayfield Park, it's been there as long as I can remember. I mean, I played ball there with the mayor as little kids, and even before us, I know it was there for my older brother and his friends. So it's something that's been in San Juan for a very long time, and it's something that hits a lot of us near and dear to our hearts. And like I said, I feel that as the chairman of the board, that the fairest way to go about naming this complex is to get the input of our fellow citizens.
This website already up, Mr. Alanis? Or?
Well, the link is, technically it's up, but it's unfindable right now. It has not gone live. I did not want to, this is not going to go live until I presented it before you all and showed it to you all. This is just kind of a dummy page. I don't know how better way to phrase it. But if you all are content with the design that Ms. Myra did, which I personally think is quite well, then she would make it go live as early as tomorrow. And then we would start taking input from the citizens.
So you mentioned the person has to be deceased or no?
They do have to be deceased,
They
yes,
have
sir.
to be deceased.
Yes, sir, that is part of the bylaws.
And it has to be named after a person?
No, it does not have to be named after a person. It is, would be recommended that it would be.
Okay.
But it does not necessarily have to be named after a person, sir.
And the reason why I asked you was a question that was asked to me.
Yes,
And
sir.
and you clarified it right now,
Yes,
which
sir.
is great, and thank you so much.
My pleasure.
But yeah, okay. That's my question, those questions. I don't know if anyone else has.
How will you be promoting that this is taking place?
Yes, Commissioner, that's actually going to be, there's going to be a live scroll on the very top of our City of San Juan webpage. So it'll be at the very, very top whenever anybody logs in. You don't have to.
Deadline that you guys have come up with?
Yes, Commissioner, what we did is we voted unanimously on the board level to leave this up for a period of exactly 1 month.
Is there any other social media that we might gonna promote this?
Absolutely, we do have this Facebook page that I'm sure, we could definitely put that on there as well to inform the rest of our citizens and the public about.
Most definitely.
Any other questions? Sure, go ahead.
That is correct.
Why not, after those most recommended, you come back to the site with those that are the top ones and give a description of the accomplishments of those people and allow them, the citizens again, to vote based on those merits?
And again, that is definitely an option. And depending on what the commission would like, this is, that was actually brought up in our advisory board meetings, but that is not the direction that the advisory board as a whole wanted to go. We wanted to be able to present to the commission the top 3 names with the accomplishments of those individuals, and then leave it to the commission to come up with the final decision. Although, again, if I can just say that the advisory board is more than willing to work with any suggestions or directives that the commission would like.
Any other questions?
Thank you all so much for your time.
Thank you.
The next item, presentation of the current board members for Keep San Juan Beautiful and possible projects. Mr. Munoz.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners.
Need, sir.
My name is Eric Munoz. I'm the Program Coordinator for Keep San Juan Beautiful. Back in October of 2015, the Keep San Juan Beautiful program was created by the appointment of members by the City Commission. So tonight, I come before you in presenting the current Keep San Juan Beautiful board members. So, first of all, we got Rodora Elizondo, Ms. Jennifer Villarreal, Mr. Eric Guajardo, and then Dr. Nuno Rodriguez. Okay. So now with the recognition of the board members, Dr. Nuno Rodriguez would now like to present the purpose and the goals of the board. Okay.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners.
Good afternoon, sir.
The purpose of Keep San Juan Beautiful Board is to make recommendations to this commission and to the departments of our city government in every area that affects the healthy appearance of the city, and in every area that affects the sense of security and prosperity of the friendly city of San Juan. With the support of this commission, sponsors, and volunteers, we are planning to conduct graffiti cleanups, which we have one scheduled for the 24th of this month, of March, I should say. Tire roundups, which we did one last year, and we hope to continue doing them. We are very much hopeful to be able to do landscaping as support permits. And we would like to continue community education in areas pertaining to Keep San Juan Beautiful. To that regard, we have distributed flyers in the major events that the city do, like Noche de Paz, Cinco de Mayo, and we would like very much to extend this education to the schools, to our local schools. So we look forward to achieve these goals of the Keep San Juan Beautiful Board and look forward to work with this commission in this endeavor. Thank you.
I have a question, Dr. Nuno. You mentioned March 24th is the cleanup?
March 24th is the graffiti.
Is that correct? Okay, where can the residents meet and at what time?
Meeting center is gonna be at the recycling collection center. We'll be meeting at 8, departing at 8:30, and returning about 11:15. Once we get back to the recycling collection center, we go ahead and feed the volunteers. So we'll be there until about 12:15.
Okay.
Hopefully 12:30 the latest.
Great, great.
Depending on the time of the pickup of the volunteers.
Thank you.
Or the students.
Mayor, may I?
Go ahead.
Just in what he's saying.
Yes, ma'am.
We also are placing that on the website.
Oh,
I have
good.
it scheduled already for the web, so
Great,
the
okay.
residents and the citizens will be aware.
Okay.
Also, if you can help them
Pardon?
with any paint, whatever they need,
Uh,
if you have
I
enough.
use my budget whenever they need
Okay.
something.
Right,
We will be going up for sponsorships also.
okay, no, that's fine.
Any questions for Mr. Munoz?
Thank you very much, Mr. Munoz, and I want to thank and commend your service on your board.
Thank you.
The next item under discussion and possible action on all of the following matters. The first one is under Section A, discussion and possible action to authorize staff to solicit for requests for qualifications for geotechnical services following disadvantaged business enterprise DBE program rules. Mayor, Commissioner, this particular item, this has to do with the geotechnical testing that has to be done, and only because of the fact that it's a Texas Water Development Board, we need to follow the federal guidelines. Back in the past, apparently it was done because it was under an umbrella. Now that we're doing additional work or some other work that has to do with the Texas Water Development Board, we need to solicit requests for qualifications under the DBE standards. So that's all we're asking for, to go out and geotechnical solicit for requisitions, so that we can get some of these firms to come over and provide them to us, and then we'll bring them before you all.
And again, Mr. Juan, what exact project is this referring to?
This is the current, which is the water plant,
The water plant?
and any coming future projects such as the wastewater plant, and well, pretty much them too.
Any other questions for Mr. Arjona? If not, is there a motion to approve?
So moved?
Is there-
Second.
Second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
The next item, Mayor Commissioners, is the discussion and possible action to authorize staff to solicit for requests for qualifications from energy service companies, ESCO, to provide turnkey utility conservation programs that will provide infrastructure improvements, sustain cost savings and revenue enhancements, and meet the requirements of the Texas Energy Performance Contracting Requirements per Local Government Code 302. Sometime back, I want to say about maybe a couple of months ago, we had a presentation from Siemens Construction, giving us a presentation in coming over to the city and doing an assessment citywide, where the assessment will consist of anywhere between, if you look on page number 17, it can be anything, studies on water conservation, energy management systems, energy efficient lighting upgrades, HVAC system modifications, building envelope improvements, domestic hot and cold water systems, and high-efficiency motors, water and wastewater infrastructure, automated meter reader systems. And this is what they're going to do. They're going to do this assessment citywide, and then they'll bring it before you all for presentation. And then at that point, we can pick and choose what is it that we want to venture into. whether it's for the water meters to enhance them, HVAC upgrades, or any of those particular assessments.
Is there a charge or a price on that?
This is not
assessment?
going to be cost to the city.
Good, okay.
Afterwards, that's when it'll cost.
Right.
But the assessment is free.
Any questions? Not, their motion to approve?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Following item under appointments, the first one, consider remove and appointment board members related to the San Juan Memorial Library Board. Ms. Cavazos.
Good afternoon, Commissioners.
Afternoon.
We have the San Juan Memorial Library Board, which consists of 7 members serving 2-year staggered terms. As per the Library Board bylaws, if absent more than 3 consecutive times, they shall be automatically dropped from the membership. On the page after that, you will find the list of the current members for the Library Board, and following that will be the applications that were received.
If I may, Mayor?
Go ahead, sir, yes.
Ms. Dean, as far as the attendance is concerned, are they all in good standing? Yes. And they all submitted an application for reappointment, correct? Thank you.
Now, we don't have that paperwork in our packet, right? No, as far as their attendance record?
No, I am not provided with an attendance record, no.
Okay. Sorry.
22. Page 22 and on.
Is it in order to make a motion, Mayor?
Oh, here you go. I got it right here. This is the library. Okay, good.
And if I may, Mayor, Commissioners,
ahead.
on the side, there's an expiration term. That you can follow that, or that's up to the commission and you all.
Well, the only question that I have is, I see the terms, right? But for instance, like on some of these, they expire 2018. So now what I want to know is whether this individual has attended every single meeting. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So, I mean, I don't know what you guys think. I mean,
That's why I made the question to Ms. Yassin regarding their standing with the board.
no, okay. I understand that, but not just for this board, but
Yeah,
For every board.
Pretty much all of them.
that's what I'm saying. No, and I believe you, ma'am. Don't think that I don't believe you, but, I don't know, whatever.
If I make, if I
Go ahead,
can,
go
I
ahead.
would like to make a motion to reappoint let me go by names, Maria Estela Ayala, to reappoint Maria Estela Ayala, reappoint Iris Lara, reappoint Leticia Leija, and reappoint Maria Navarro to the Library Advisory Board.
Yeah, we covered all of them, right?
There's one application that was added, that is not currently serving, just for information. That's the last one, which is Abram Diaz Alonso, or Abraham.
So that's in the motion, right? And these have already expired, obviously, and they're in good standing, right, Mrs. Sassi?
And they haven't met their limitation of serving, correct, either?
Is there a
Because there's a
limit on
three term.
terms?
You said 3 years, right?
no, it's 2 years.
2 years?
Yes,
And they're eligible for,
For renewal?
yes, they are.
They are?
Well, the ones that have the expiration date of 2018, they are eligible to, the ones that have 2019, they still have one more year to go. And then the one for 2017, which Mr. Commissioner Ramirez is reappointing. That's the one that was expired already.
Right, okay.
The question, Ms. Cavazos, the question that the board has is, we know that they're two-year terms and they're staggered. Is the bylaws have a limit as to how many terms they can serve?
As far as I'm concerned, no.
Okay, that's the question. That's what I understood.
So if they have the 2 years, they can reapply for the following next 2 years?
2 more years.
2 more years?
Yes.
Okay, so Commissioner Ramirez, that was in the motion, sir?
Yes, sir.
Is there a second? I'll second it. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
The next item is consider removal and appointment of board members related to the Planning and Zoning Board.
The Planning and Zoning Board consists also of 7 members serving for 2-year staggered terms. They also have it in their bylaws that if they're absent for more than 3 consecutive times, the individual shall automatically be dropped from membership. And you have the list of the current members, and there was only 1 application submitted.
Do we know anything on, as far as their attendance record on these as well?
No.
No? Is Mr. Cervantes here? As far as attendance record, sir, do you know how are they complying?
All miss occasionally. Some miss a little bit more than others. If you want, I can tell you the ones that miss a little bit more.
Yeah, can you do that for me?
The 2 commissioners that miss a little bit more than the others is Mary Gonzalez and Agapito Vargas.
Okay, now, let me ask you this. How many meetings do you think they've missed?
I will say they
More or less.
attend,
Huh?
over in the past,
Mhm.
they've been attending like 60 to 70% of
Oh, man.
the meetings.
Not submit applications for reappointment.
They were not asked to submit applications for reappointment, but they're all interested in continuing to serve, as far as I know.
Okay. At this time, I'm going to go ahead and make a motion to remove Mary Gonzalez and appoint Nano Guajardo. I know his application's pending, but he will get it in by tomorrow, okay? So that's in a motion. Is there a second? It's been second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
There are 2 that are up, this year, Adan Magayan and Eduardo Alanis. And there is a Valerie Vargas Cardenas who submitted an application. How is Mr. Magayan and Mr. Alanis, Mr. Cervantes, Magayan and Alanis, whose term is up?
As far as attendance, I will say they're like 80%,
How much?
80 to 90% attendance. Mr. Vargas is the one because I think he umpires or referees for football.
Actually, I
In-
think
in
he
foot-
does
yeah.
scorekeeping.
So in football season, it's
Yeah.
hard for him to attend the meetings. I like him a lot, but sometimes I have a hard time having a quorum because commissioners miss the meetings.
Then I'll make a motion to remove.
Can you also tell this board whether or not there's a limit on terms that your board members can serve?
As far as I know, they can all continue to serve.
Okay, but do you know whether or not there's a limit?
No, we don't have
'Cause I'm
limits.
looking at your charter, and I believe that it states here on the charter that no person shall serve as, well, that's just chairman. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
No,
There is no limit, that's correct.
you can renew it,
can
just
renew
like
it.
how we did.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's just for chairman.
exactly. Okay. Go ahead, Commissioner.
Well, I just want to recommend Adan Magayan and Eduardo Alanis to go ahead and stay as still continued board member.
I'll
You know.
second that motion.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries, so Adan and Eduardo
Yeah,
stay.
stay.
And Commissioner Ramirez, you mentioned
Motion or
no,
something like?
on Vargas?
Yes, Agapito Vargas, and appoint Valerie Vargas Cardenas. I don't know if they're related, but
I second that motion.
It's been second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
The next item is consider removal and appointment of board members to the Keep San Juan Beautiful Board.
The Keep San Juan Beautiful Board consists of 7 members serving for 2 years staggered term. As per the Keep San Juan Beautiful Board bylaws, if absent more than 3 consecutive times, the individual shall automatically be dropped from membership. And you also have a list after that with the current members, and there was also only 1 application submitted.
I did have a question on the board. If you look back at the minutes that were provided to us for approval, dated for September the 12th, 2017, we just appointed Eric Guajardo and Jennifer Villarreal. And according to this list, Jennifer Villarreal's term is already up, but she has not even served a year. So she shouldn't,
She could have been appointed to the unexpired term. So depending on what place she followed, it's very possible that she could have.
and with that said, even if she was, it is my understanding that officers on that board serve 2 years, 2-year terms, correct? And she is an officer on that, on that board. So her name shouldn't appear as a reappointment.
On the executive board members, they serve a 2-year term. And board members serve a 1-year term. So Jennifer Villarreal and Mr. Eric Guajardo came in
September, more or less.
And Ms. Rodora Elizondo came in late October. So that was the thing. So they're serving their 1-year term. So they'll expire in 2018, at the end of 2018.
And just for clarification, as our legal counsel has mentioned, they could have been appointed to an unexpired term.
Yes.
But even if they are appointed to an unexpired term, it doesn't mean that they're appointed to the executive board, correct?
Exactly correct.
So with that being said, she is serving a 2-year term.
She will be serving a 1-year unless she is voted into an executive board member.
Okay.
As an executive board member, which that'll be on our next, that's an
You still
agenda
have one
on the
more.
next, yeah,
Okay.
on our next meeting.
So clarifying again, so did she fill an unexpired term that you're aware of, or
Still got the year to complete until
she still
September.
has the year to complete?
Yeah.
So she doesn't have to be reappointed, she's still serving the one.
So then, yes,
And Mr. Guajardo?
Mr. Guajardo is
As well. Same thing. So the only
And then-
one that's actually up for removal or reappointment is Eddie Garcia,
Eddie Garcia's term has expired.
and he did not submit an
He
application.
did not submit an application
And-
as per Ms. Cavazos.
Eddie Garcia.
Also, Peter.
Garcia's on here, so
Yeah,
he needs
when
to
you-
be.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna bring up right now. I know that on last meeting, he went and go ahead and give out his seat, and I had to appoint Commissioner Ramirez for that, and.
It's not updated.
It's
I
not
apologize for
updated,
that.
so just try to update that one.
Got you.
With that vacancy, Eddie Garcia, did you speak to him by any chance? Was he interested? Did he
Spoke
submit?
to him right before our Keep San Juan Beautiful meeting, and he did say that he wanted to, but he did not submit. So as per the applications that were accepted.
We have one other individual, Abraham Alonso.
How many board members do we have for that? Beautiful.
5?
1, 2, 3, 4.
Mande. No entrego. Nomás este. Ah, no,
What days do you meet, Mr. Munoz?
What's that again?
What days?
The second Wednesday of every month.
I would like to make a motion to appoint Abraham Diaz Alonso for the expired term of Eddie Garcia.
I'll second that. All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries.
Next item, consider removing appointment of board members related to the Housing Authority Board.
Was that posted as well?
It was posted,
Did you get any applicants on that?
no application,
Now, obviously, there's no one here representing the Housing Authority Board.
no.
Okay, so I'd like to make a motion to go ahead and table this item and bring it back on the next meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
This item's been tabled. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
The next item, contractual resolutions, consider authorizing city manager to execute the contract with Begley and Associates LLC for the comprehensive plan and update of the Parks Master Plan project. This is the item that was brought before you, before the commission and mayor a couple of meetings ago on the comprehensive city plan and also the parks plan. So the contract is already available. We need to forward it to legal for their approval, and then we'll execute it. But this is the approval so that we can proceed with that.
Is there any questions for Mr. Arjona? If not, is there a motion to approve? Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
The next item, consider authorizing city manager to request statements of qualification from architectural firms for the transit terminal project. Because you know that the clinic is already being leveled to the ground, and now we're seeking requests of qualifications for an architectural firm.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Arjona? If not, is there a motion to approve?
Motion, so move.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
The next item, Mayor, Commissioners, I'd like to ask no action on this particular item, on item C.
On item C, no action. Go ahead.
Okay. The next item on the consent agenda, we have item A, B, C, and D. Note that the mayor commissioner can pull any item out for discussions to make an adequate decision on any of the items.
At this time, is there any changes or any amendments in reference to the consent agenda? Is there anything you guys want to pull out? If not, is there a motion to approve? Is there a second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Is there a motion to adjourn? Is there a
Second.
second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
This meeting has been adjourned at 6:43 PM. Thank you.